Okay, all the latest Tottenham Hotspur transfer news has been about lately Lo Celso. When is he arriving? Is he arriving? Has a fee been agreed? Also, Paulo Dybala, the Juventus player that we did a profile on the other day. Is he coming? Is he turned down? Is he staying at Juventus? Are Spurs actually interested in? But I believe really the number one problem that Tottenham have at the moment in the transfer market, and that Levy has particularly, is Christian Eriksen. I think he's the number one problem, and it's not just about whether they sell him or whether they keep him or sign a new contract. It's what damage is he doing on potential transfers while he's here, but also is he blocking other players coming to the club. Now we'll talk a little bit more about that, but let's just remind ourselves really what sort of player Christian Eriksen has been for the club, because he's come under an awful lot of stick that he should go, he's a bit of a traitor. And just before we get into the video and sort of talk about all the potential problems and scenarios for Eriksen, just remind ourselves what sort of player he's been. And I've done the last 6 years stats, and you look first at his appearances. This guy's turned up, and he's pretty much injury free for the last 6 years. I know there was another season as well, but he's played plus 40 matches every season. Goals, apart from the 15-16 season, double figures. Even last year, probably not his best season, still got into double figures. And just look at those assists, 17, 13, 23, 16, 5 and 16. So, you can see he's a player really that you would think on the face of it any big club would want, and Spurs would do everything they could to keep him. But let's just have a look at really why does he want to move? What is it? Well, this is what he originally said. I feel that I am at a stage in my career where I'd like to try something new, Eriksen told the Danish newspaper Extra Bladet. I have the deepest respect for everything that is happening at Tottenham, and it would not be something negative to stay. But I have also said that I would like to try something new. It all depends on Daniel Levy, and there has to be another club too, or I will sit down myself at the table and negotiate a new contract. You can't set a date yourself. There aren't many boxes that Tottenham don't tick. So if I have to move away, it would have to be a step up, and I think that is the key point. When you look at it, is that his motivation for moving? Does he want to step up? Now I can understand after all those years at Tottenham, he's 27. He wants, there's a motivation factor. He wants possibly a new challenge. But he either wants to step up, or he wants more money, or potentially has he fallen out behind the scenes with somebody. There was reports this week about Kieran Trippier. He just subtly put something like behind the scenes issues in an interview he did. So, is there something we're not aware of? Now, if you look at, from Tottenham's point of view, they're 20 plus goals a season behind Man City and Liverpool. They need to find 20, 30 goals from somewhere to be challenging for the Premier League title. If they want, again, another good run in the Champions League, they need to be scoring more goals. So you can't really afford to lose that sort of goals and assist tally without replacing it. So, if you have a look at where he could go, and the teams that might be interested in him, you've got teams in Spain, Real Madrid, Barcelona. Well, Real Madrid, looking at Pogba, is their main target, and there's even been talk that Zidane has said, very stubbornly, even if I don't get Pogba, I'm not signing Eriksen. Again, that could just be a negotiation tactic for if he doesn't get Pogba. Barcelona, he's unlikely to go there. They've got Coutinho, they've got Messi. He's unlikely to go there. Italy, I would say Italy, Serie A is a downgraded league, but the two teams they could look at, Juventus, Napoli. Napoli, can't see him going there. It's a big step down, I would say. Juventus, possibly. There's the lure of playing alongside Cristiano Ronaldo. There's even talks of Dybala swap with him, but Juventus in their financial situation, I think if they lose Dybala, will want hard cash for him. And why would they lose an 80 million rated player and spend it straight out on Eriksen when there's a chance they could get him on a free? Also, there's talk, Sky in Italy have said that Dybala is going to fight for his place and fight for his position that he wants to play in the team. So that one is very much still up in the air. In France, you could look at PSG, but the French league is not great quality. And, you know, would he want to go to PSG? It's a little bit of a circus there at the moment. And then, dare I say it, two clubs in England, Man City and Liverpool, potentially interested. Obviously, England I think is the top league in the world. And, you know, it's if you want to play in the top league in the world and you want to change from Spurs, there really are only two alternatives: Man City and Liverpool. I would say, you know, you could argue it's a step up, you could argue it's not. I would say it's a sideward step, but it would give him that new challenge. Man City, I can't see them really wanting to take Eriksen. They seem to have all their positions and everything sort of sorted. Liverpool, that's a different matter at Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp is quite a crafty one, and he's a bit of a showman, and he's been entering into the transfer talk in his interviews, and you know, you get the feeling that he hasn't quite got his own way in the transfer market. There's talk of him going for players. We know he's gone for players and been turned down. And you know, Nicolas Pepe was highly linked to go to Liverpool, and he looks like he's going to Arsenal. And you know, Klopp, I think, really knows he needs to make a big signing and someone that can contribute in the goals and assists, a creative midfielder, a creative attacking player. And Eriksen would seem to fit that bill. Now, he's come out as Klopp and said, you know, we haven't got the money. We've got to balance our books. We've got to pay our bills, and we can't compete with PSG and Real Madrid and Barcelona. And he could well be just setting the scenes for a late low offer on Eriksen late in the transfer window. So I wouldn't put that one out of possibilities. I think that is highly possible because you know, he's a crafty old manager, is Klopp, and he knows how to play the game basically. But you know, let's have a look. Why, you know, Eriksen, he's got all those goals, all those assists. Why aren't people coming in for him? Well, it's all down to the fact that he's got 12 months left on his contract, and we'll have a look at sort of three scenarios that are possible, really, when a club is potentially looking at Eriksen. Scenario one is if they were to pay the sort of fee that Levy would like, and that's £70 million. They're probably going to have to match the sort of figures that Tottenham have offered him on a contract of £200,000 a week. So that's over 5 years. He's going to want a 5-year contract. That's 52 million. That's going to cost the club, if they pay what Levy wants today, £122 million. Now, bear in mind, Eriksen's 27. 5 years' time, he'll be 32. There's going to be no resale value to him at that point. So 122 million is a massive commitment, even for somebody like PSG, Real Madrid, who seem to have money to burn. In terms of the second scenario is, you know, everybody's eyeing, is he going to be available on a free? Now, if he's available on a free in 12 months' time, and he can negotiate that contract come January through the Bosman ruling, he's going to be looking at a bigger salary. I mean, the benefit to Eriksen is if he does go on a free and sees out his contract, he will be able to get a bigger salary. So he'll be looking for 300 grand a week, or possibly more when you look at Aaron Ramsey, what he potentially is costing Juventus. So 300 grand a week, the transfer fee is free, 300 grand a week over 5 years, £78 million, a big reduction on that 122 million. So that's why there's no offers coming in. Now, if he was in big demand and a club had earmarked him as a position, he would have gone now for that 122 million, including the salary cost. So he isn't in big demand. He hasn't been earmarked as a number one target for anyone, like Rodri at Man City, like Ndombele at Spurs, like Joao Felix at Atletico Madrid. They were obviously players that they'd earmarked, and the business has been done. They're done and dusted. And what I think is more possible is scenario 3, the transfer fee lowering to somewhere in the region of 40 million towards the end of the transfer window. Bear in mind, Levy's lost control of this situation now. The situation is controlled by other clubs and by Eriksen, so he's losing his power over this one. So if he wants to sell him in the transfer window, you could well be looking at a 40 million transfer fee. They'd match the sort of salary that had been offered at Spurs, 200,000, so that's 52 million it'll cost any potential club. So the potential cost to a club, if they sign him in the transfer window at a reduced fee, is 92 million pounds. Now that's the sort of scenario that I can see happening. Now you could say that Levy might say, well, I'm not going to let him go for 40 million. But actually, that could be his biggest problem is in the transfer market now. At the moment, he's, Lo Celso, Dybala, and it could well be that they're looking at the Spurs situation and thinking, well, if Eriksen is staying, do I want to be playing at a club where they're potentially not going to give me the game time I want? I mean, we've seen, it looks like, not confirmed yet, that Pepe is going to Arsenal. And Liverpool, really, that was a signing I think they were after. And, potentially he could have gone there because he feels he's going to get more game time. People like a prospect I've spoken about, Danny Olmo or Donny van der Beek. Are they looking at this? Are Spurs going after them? But they don't want to know because they feel Eriksen's clogging up that position. So there is the potential that Eriksen is causing more harm staying than going. And that's why I feel that maybe a reduced fee, a transfer fee of 40 million might be the way to go if that is the issue with players coming in. Now, we don't know that. We don't know what these players are saying to Spurs and what their representatives are saying. But that is a potential that is causing Levy a problem, so not just the transfer fee. So, looking at Eriksen, it's one that needs sorting, and it needs sorting quickly. He needs to be on a new contract or he needs to be sold. Levy's sort of lost control of it, and if we aren't careful, that could spoil the transfer window for Tottenham Hotspur. The last thing you want is a player going into the last year of a free. Yes, the benefit to Spurs is that he'll be motivated to put himself in the shop window for clubs to get a high salary, but the downside is he's clogging up a position that might potentially stop other people coming. The other issue is if he signs a new contract at high wages, you could have a situation there where you've got a player, and you can understand it. I like Eriksen. I think he's a terrific player with terrific stats, but does he need that new challenge? Is he demotivated? And you give him a new contract, a big salary, and you lock him in for another 5 years. And have you got a player that could end up being a bit like Ozil at Arsenal, where he's taking the money, but to be honest, his heart doesn't look really in it. And that's a criticism that a lot of fans have made of Eriksen last year, is that his heart didn't really look in it. Now, he knew he was putting himself in the shop window last season. And, there were signs where you could argue he did look demotivated. So, suddenly give him a nice big contract. Is he going to find that motivation to give what Tottenham Hotspur, what Pochettino need to challenge for the Premiership and the Champions League that, the fans desperately want one or the other or both. So it's going to be a real interesting transfer window. There's coming up to 2 weeks left in it. I think this is Levy's number one problem. I think it really needs solving in the next few days. I don't think it will be. I think when we go back to those 3 scenarios on Eriksen going, I think it's potentially going to be the third one. It'd be really interesting to see who he goes to. If you like the videos, I'd appreciate any support you can give if you like below. Also, let me know your comments on it. It's really great to read the comments, and I try to respond to as many as I can, just to see what the feeling is out there on these players. And if you like the channel, please do subscribe. Thank you once again for watching.